Texans swarm. Both Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter are among the top 10 pass rushers in the National Football League. Here's the top 10 list. Number 1, Myles Garrett. Number 2, TJ Watt. 3, Micah Parsons. The latter two in contract issues with their respective teams. Max Crosby is 4. Nick Bosa of the San Francisco 49ers is 5. For those who don't know, Crosby plays for the Las Vegas Raiders. Bengals pass rusher Trey Hendrickson 6. So half of the guys at the top of this list are in contract situations. Aiden Hutchinson with the Lions is 7. Will Anderson of your Houston Texans is 8th. Danielle Hunter of your Houston Texans is 9th. And then rounding it out, Jared Verse with the LA Rams, 10th. If the Texans go far this season, I know we all look at their offense, their offensive line, the new skill players. That's going to go a long way when it comes to taking down these teams with these great quarterbacks in the AFC, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, Josh Allen and the Bills. But these guys are more important. These two pass rushers and the Houston Texans pass rush, I think, are going to determine whether or not the Texans advance to a Super Bowl. Can they have the kind of performance in a game that the Chiefs had against the Texans in these past playoffs? I think they're capable of it. If you have 2 of the top 10 and you got other guys in terms of depth that also have a lot of upside, you know, they brought in Darrell Taylor this offseason. Derek Barnett, I think, is still hanging around amongst others. They got a pretty damn good Mario Edwards, you're right, who's in the middle, Foley Fatukasi.
Autry.
Danico Autry, a very good pass rusher historically. Not his best season last year. They got waves of pass rushers to throw at you, and both in terms of, you know, surviving injuries and on top of that, just having guys who are fresh all game long. I think they've done a really good job of putting together a pass rush with these two guys at the very top of it. And by the way, some interesting notes on these two. Will Anderson, per Texans defensive coordinator Matt Burke, has a new move that he's going to unleash on the National Football League this season.
I cannot wait for that.
What is that new move? I don't know, but it's new and it's a move. Okay.
And pray for Cam Robinson, who has to deal with it every day in practice.
But you know what? Iron sharpens iron.
Iron does sharpen iron.
Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter are going to make the Texans tackle situation, which is a big question mark, better by the end of training camp.
There we go. They're the most important Texans, not just because of what they do on Sundays on the field, but what they are doing starting last month at OTAs. Because they're not only the biggest strength on this team, they're also making the biggest weakness on this team even better.
Right.
Every time they blow past these guys in practice.
That's right.
Every time Ed Ingram doesn't know who he's supposed to block. That's making him better.
I think there's a chance that the two could combine for more sacks than they had last year. And I mean, they had a lot of sacks last year.
Yeah. Could they both get like 14?
Well,
or combined for 30. I feel like they could combine, because I think Will Anderson is going to have a 20 sack year one year. Like he has the talent. It's about putting it together and staying healthy.
He has to play every game.
Yeah.
In 14 games, Will Anderson had 11 sacks last season. Meanwhile, Danielle Hunter, who played all 17 games, had 12. So they combined for 23. Could they both get to 14? I don't think it's completely far-fetched.
Yeah, I think if Anderson stays healthy, I think they can get there.
By the way, Will Anderson already has said he wants to be here the rest of his career. He's got his eyes on the Defensive Player of the Year title.
There we go.
I think he is perhaps the most likable Houston Texan, just based off of every single time I've spoken with him. He's so sweet. I can't believe he mauls quarterbacks for a living.
Yeah, they don't have Stephon Diggs anymore, so yeah, I'll give it to Anderson as the.
And it's funny. He has a lot of anxiety too, and this is something he was talking about during an interview, I believe, on the NFL Network. He says that he and Danielle Hunter have a nickname because they complement each other so well, and Danielle's just constantly calming him down.
Amount of time and taking one play at a time. And I have to give a huge shout out to Danielle, man. He's been a double-digit guy, sack guy since he's been in the league, and to see his process and to see, he doesn't worry about those things. He's just like, bro, I'm just going out there and playing. I think that's been able to help me and calm me down. And I always tell people we're like fire and ice. When I look at Danielle, my fire just woosah, because he just brings that presence. Like, it's gonna be okay, bro. You're gonna get it. So just lucky to have him and blessed to have him on the team.
Woosah, like that. So what do we like better? Do we like fire and ice, or do we like what Danielle Hunter is calling the Houston Texans defensive line?
We call ourselves the engine. You got a car, and the car don't move without the engine. So we take pride in like bringing the team on our backs. So we look at this defensive line as the engine of the team.
I think Hunter's 100% right. As I said a little bit earlier, I think that the pass rush is really going to determine how far this team goes. How many stops can they get of those great quarterbacks? What's better, fire and ice or the engine for the entirety of the defensive line group? I say the engine. It lends itself to fast and furious fun.
Yeah. I like the engine. The engine.
Speaking of engines, seen Danielle Hunter's arms? Good God. So big and yet so vascular.
Yeah. Diesel.
Hunter Brown.
Get out of here, Hunter Brown.
Hunter Brown wishes he had
Those
that.
spaghetti noodles he got.
Especially after last night. Like, hey, Hunter Brown, listen, you got a pretty cool tat sleeve. You're not quite our guy, Jeremy Booth, who has full tat sleeves that looked very painful that he brought in studio earlier this week. On Monday, Sean, when you were out, Jeremy Booth came in studio. His entire forearms are now completely sleeved up.
I was going to say, am I not remembering that he has sleeves? No, he got sleeves very recently.
Very recently, and he showed off the whole thing.
Goodness.
And he's 16 hours of work on the forearms. Holy crap.
What? Did you do the anesthetic thing?
No, I don't think so.
Dak Prescott did?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But I don't know, although I actually should have followed up on that. Maybe next week we'll ask about that. But, Danielle Hunter doesn't need no tattoos.
No.
That guy's just like his tattoos are his veins. They're ridiculous. I'm sorry I glaze over his arms as much as I do, but like they're the greatest things that these eyes have ever seen. What? I'm a straight man.
No. Yeah, we are. This is the little blue pill segment.
The little blue pill.
I figured this was coming.
Texans pass rush. It's looking really good going into next season, and it's got two of the best pass rushers in the league. Will Anderson ranked 8th. Danielle Hunter ranked 9th per ESPN.com.